Excellent. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining Mimi, for this brunch side concert. And of course, this is a little 40-minute, not terribly formal concert honoring the music of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, also known as Johannes Christophus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart, because why go for just a simple name, right? So, of course, most of you have heard music by Mozart. It is absolutely inevitable. Um, he was born on the 27th of January in 756, and he was perhaps one of the most influential composers of his age. Now, I don't know if you have seen the movie that has come out, Chevalier, which is about the life of the Chevalier de Saint Georges, a very, very important musician whom we have some evidence to believe that he, in fact, influenced a lot of Mozart's later instrumental music. And having heard the music of the Chevalier de Saint Georges, I would say that they are very much equals in the treatment of orchestral literature, although I would say that the Chevalier is at times superior to Mozart in his writing for the violin, but that's because the Chevalier was a virtuoso of the violin and he knew that instrument backwards and forwards. But one of the areas where Mozart is uncontested and we really don't know how the Chevalier would have compared is the area of operatic music. Mozart composed an enormous amount of operas, extremely prolific, and one of the most important parts about why Mozart is so important in his treatment of vocal music is how he handles language. He had this almost divine gift for setting language to music in a way that enhanced the words without without feeling like there was a disservice to the music, or the music in a feeling that there was a disservice to words. So, the first selection I want to sing for you today, and the reason why we really can't compare outputs is because the Chevalier de Saint Georges didn't compose many operas because he encountered racism. Marie Antoinette had wanted him to lead her opera company, but sopranos in the opera company said that it was an indignity um, and an affront to their honor to receive orders from such a man, because you see, the Chevalier de Saint Georges was black, and so there are not. He did not compose many operas compared to Mozart, and we only have one surviving opera, L'Amant Anonyme. So it is not really a fair sample to compare the two. So, my first selection for today is from one of my favorite Mozart operas, Don Giovanni, the tale of Don Juan, the love them and leave them kind of guy. And this is Don Ottavio's first aria. Don Ottavio has just heard from his fiancée, Donna Anna, that she is quite certain that the man that snuck into her room and tried to force her is in fact the very noble, as in a nobleman, very aristocratic Don Giovanni, whom Don Ottavio considered a friend. Now, Don Ottavio is not a fighter, he's more of a lover, and so his first reaction is not to swear vengeance after he sees the distress that Donna Anna is in, because not only did Don Giovanni try to have his way with her, but he also killed her father. And so she's in absolute distress. And Don Ottavio's first reaction is to sing this lovely aria, Dalla sua pace, where he reflects that upon her entire peace, upon Donna Anna's entire peace of soul and being, his own happiness rests, and every grief that strikes her causes him death. Alla sua
sospiro, sospiro anch'io, e a quel nido, quel pianto è mio e non lo bene, se la non lo bene, se la non lo e non lo bene, se la non la sua voce, la mia dipende, quel che a lei piace, vita mi rende, quel che lei incresce, morte mi dà. Morte mi dà. Dalla sua pace la mia dipende, quel che a lei piace, vita mi rende, quel che lei cresce, morte mi dà. Morte mi dà. Morte mi dà quel che lei incresce, morte mi dà.
Thank you, Old. Hi, everybody. So, after Don Octavio has had this moment of reflection, well, he has a couple more adventures. He is not quite sure that Don Giovanni is indeed whom Donna Anna says. She might have been mistaken. It was dark in that room. She says she recognized his voice. There could be many voices that sound like Don Giovanni, right? So, at one point, they entrap Don Giovanni by attending a prestigious little ball that he has, masquerade ball that he has at his castle, where they observe his attempts to force a young woman. And that is the moment where Don Ottavio says, okay, yeah, this is the bastard. And so in this aria, he tells his friends to go and console Donna Anna, because he will return as a herald of death and strife. Il mio tesoro.
Il mio tesoro intanto, andate, andate a consolar, e del ciglio il pianto cercate di asciugare, cercate, cercate, cercate di asciugar, suoi torti. A vendicare io vado, a vendicare io vado, che sol distragge molti, non ti voglio tornar, non ti voglio tornar, sì, non ti voglio tornar. Il mio tesoro intanto, andate, andate a consolar, e del bel ciglio il pianto cercate di asciugar, cercate, cercate, cercate di asciugar, cercate di asciugar. Ditele che i suoi torti a vendicar io vado, a vendicar io vado, che sol distragge morti, non si voglio tornar, non si voglio tornar, che sol distragge morti, non si voglio tornar, sì, non si voglio tornar.
Thank you, Sethos. Thank you. Hello and welcome to all the newcomers. I see a few of you have joined us now. So now we're going to take a little bit of a step, and thank you, Christian Quinn, from opera, because Mozart wrote quite a bit of Lieder, which is German art song. And I'd like to sing this very cute one, this love poem by let's see. Here we go. It's called Anne Chloé, and it's a very cute love song. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Okay.
Wenn die Lieb aus deinem blauen, hellen, offenen Augen sieht und vor Lust hineinzuschauen, mir's im Herzen klopft und blüht. Und ich halte dich und küsse deine Rosenwangen warm. Liebe Mädchen, und ich ließe sitten dich in meinem Arm, in meinem Arm, in meinem Arm. Mädchen, Mädchen, und ich drücke dich an meinen Busen fest, der im letzten Augenblicke sterbend nur dich von sich lässt. Denn berauscht den Licht und schattet eine düstere Wolke dir, eine düstere Wolke mir. emattet, emattet, emattet. Aber selig neben dir. Emattet, emattet, emattet. Aber selig neben dir. Aber selig neben dir. Aber selig neben dir. Neben dir, neben dir.
Thank you, Dex. Now we are going to move back to opera. So, if you were to ask me what is my favorite opera out of the entire operatic literature, I would say it would be The Marriage of Figaro by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, there's a problem with that. And those of you who know the opera might know what it is. Let me drink a sip of water. Well, the reason why I think my favorite one is Le Nozze di Figaro because it is the perfect opera. Dramatically, musically, everything is so tightly woven. It's just a masterpiece. However, there are no roles for tenors in it. I mean, yes, you've got Don Basilio and you have Don Curtio, but they are comic tenors. They don't have a role for a lyric tenor like me. Which, just between us, it's kind of a big, widely known secret that Mozart hated tenors. And that's why. But there is a role in the opera, a pants role, the young man Cherubino, who is just going through puberty and he's discovering all sorts of things. Occasionally, in the French version of the opera, the French language, not that there's two versions, sometimes a tenor will be cast as Cherubino. Normally, he is sung by a mezzo-soprano in what is called a pants role. Pants roles, actually, it's a specialty of many mezzos, especially young mezzo-sopranos. These roles written about young men, but sung by mezzos because, their soft voices, etc., kind of reflects the voice of a young man who has not yet gone fully through puberty and their voices haven't changed. So, of course, that's why the pants role exists. They're very young men on the cusp of changing their voices. So I thought, it's my recital by the beachside, so I'm going to sing what I want. And I've always wanted to sing Cherubino's arias. So by this point, Cherubino has kind of flirted with absolutely everyone. He's absolutely hopeless. He has flirted with his godmother. He has flirted with Susanna, the maid. He has flirted with Barbarina. The only person he has never flirted with is Marcellina because she's too old, apparently. Even Dea. And so, at this point, Susanna brings Cherubino to the Countess's dressing room because she knows Cherubino is absolutely smitten with her and he has absolutely no chance. But the Countess thinks he is adorable. And so Cherubino offers to sing a little song to the Countess, Voi che sapete, that he's written. And it's Voi che sapete cosa è amor, donne vedete solo nel cor. You ladies who know what love is, please look into my heart and tell me if that's what's happening with me. No, honey, it's hormones. Anyways, here's Cherubino's second aria. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. And I guarantee you've heard this one, even if you don't think you have.
Sapete che cos'è amor? Non ne vedete solo nel cuore, non cor, quello ch'io provo vi dirò, e per me muovo, capir non so, sento un affetto pien di desir, chiaro ed illetto, coro e martir, cielo e possento l'alma vampar, e in un momento torna a gelar. Cerco il bene fuori di me, non so chi il tiene, non so cos'è, sospiro e gemo senza voler, palpito e tremo senza saper, non trovo pace notte né dì, ma poi mi piace languir così. Voi che sapete che cosa è amor, non è bellezza, sì o non nel cor, non è vedete, sì o non nel cor, non è vedete, sì o non nel cor.
Thank you, Sethos. Thank you, Tavish. Now I'm going to go for another song. I sang you one in German by Mozart. Now I want to sing for you an Italian song by Mozart called Ridente la Calma. And it's sort of you could consider it a wedding blessing, or the blessing of a union. May reigning calm float over you, and there may never be the slightest hint of disdain or rumor. Let's see. Ridente. There we go.
Ridente la calma nell'alma si desti, nell'alma si desti. Ne resti un segno di segno e timore, ridente la calma nell'alma si resti, ne resti più segno di segno e timor, ne resti più segno di segno e timor, di segno e timor. Tu vieni frattanto a stingere mio bene le dolce catene si grate al mio cor, si grate al mio cor, si grate al mio cor. Ridente la calma nell'alma si desti, nell'alma si desti. di segno e timor, ne resti più segno di segno e timor, di segno e timor.
And now I'm going to go to Mozart's German opera. Well, technically speaking, they're not operas, they're Singspiel. What is a Singspiel? Well, in most opera, you don't have dialogue. You've got arias, ensembles, and then you've got recitatives, which is when a character is more or less intoning but with words. So,
Questo mi turba al ventine tu me de fabella.
and it's not actually an aria, but it's a little section of kind of musical dialogue that passes from one number to the other. Well, Singspiel, the Singspiel tradition, does not have that. It's in fact, it has arias, ensembles, and then it has dialogue that moves the plot along. And this is from Mozart's one of his greatest works, which is also a mass of contradictions. The Zauberflöte, the magic flute. So in the magic flute, long story short, you've got Sarastro, you've got the Queen of the Night, the Queen of the Night's daughter, Pamina. Sarastro kind of usurped the kingdom of the King of the Sun, banished the Queen of the Night because she's a woman, and she shouldn't reign because of that, because Sarastro is a sexist jerk. And he kidnapped Pamina, the princess, in order to raise her properly. So he kidnapped the daughter of the Queen of the Night. So of course the Queen of the Night is absolutely furious about this, and she recruits the aid of a young man, a prince from the east, Tamino. He is very young, he is very brave, he is very noble, and he's very stupid. Because Tamino goes off on the mission to rescue the princess, and he is such an idiot that he ends up joining the cult. I'm not kidding. That's what happens. But in this case, in this moment, Prince Tamino has been given the portrait of Princess Pamina by the Queen of the Night, asking him to rescue her. And of course, because he's a tenor, he immediately falls in love with the portrait, and he swears that he will rescue her because this image is enchantingly beautiful. Have I mentioned he's an idiot? So let's see. This is Dies Bildnis, which is a very hard aria for the tenor, but it's deceptively easy, so most people don't realize how hard it is until they have to sing it.
Dies Bildnis ist bezaubernd schön, wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. Ich fühl es, wie die späte Bild mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt. Mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt. Dies etwas kann ich zwar nicht nennen, doch es ist hier wie Feuer brennen. Soll die Empfindung lieber sein, soll die Empfindung lieber sein. Ja, die Liebe ist's allein. ist allein. Oh, wenn ich schöne finden könnte, oh, wenn ich sie schon vor mir stände, ich würde warm und rein, was würde ich? Ich würde sie voll entzücken an diesen weißen Rosen drücken und ewig wäre sie dann mein und ewig wäre sie allein. Und ewig wäre sie dann mein, ewig wäre sie dann mein, ewig wäre sie dann mein.
Sorry for that moment. There are occasional moments when I can't hear the music because I'm using EasyCast, and the only way for you to hear my voice is for me to turn monitoring on, which means that I am singing extremely loudly in my ear and occasionally drowning out the audio, the track. But it all synced in the end, so whatever. Now, we're going to move to the aria that every singer who sings Tamino absolutely loathes, because it is a very difficult aria, and at this point, Tamino has lost all hope, and he's lost in a very dark and very expensive forest, and it's usually very expensive for the company putting it on, and he decides to play his little flute. And of course the flute is magical, so what happens at this point is that the animals of the forest begin to dance around him. Now, in some productions like the Met, they actually have honest to God furries in fursuits dancing, very fancy ones. They're unicorns in 18th century garb, lions, etc. And that's already bad enough because they're upstaging the tenor, and the tenor hates that every single time, because he's singing this very difficult thing, and you're like, yes, like Hagi. But in more regional houses, more local houses, usually stage directors decide to get cute, and they get children to dress up like animals and dance around the tenor. And so, of course, everybody in the audience is like, oh, look, that's Tiffany! And the poor tenor is wailing his voice out, and nobody pays attention to him. Well, you don't see any animals here, do you?
Stark ist nicht ein Zauberton, weil holde Blüte durch dein Spielen selbst bildet ihre Freude fühlen. Wie stark ist nicht ein Zauberton, weil holde Flöte durch dein Spielen. Holde Flöte durch dein Spielen. Pamina, nur Pamina bleibt davon, nur Pamina bleibt davon. Pamina, Pamina, höre dich. Umsonst, umsonst. Ach, wo find ich dich? Ah, das ist Papagenos Ton. Vielleicht als Pamina schon, vielleicht als sie mir dann siehe, vielleicht für mich der Ton zu höher, für mich der Ton zu höher, für der Ton zu höher.
So try to imagine that poor tenor is just singing his heart out, and there's animals in front of him, and nobody's paying attention to him. So now, thank you so much for coming today. I have my final piece, and it's one of my favorite Mozart songs, Abendempfindung an Laura, Evening Feelings for Laura, and in which Laura, the speaker of the poem, is reflecting upon her upcoming death, her eventual death, and she begs her friends to not spare her some tears at her graveside, because they will become in her diadem the most beautiful gems. Let me get the thing here and.
Oben siehst, die Sonne ist verschwunden und der Mond strahlt Silberglanz. So entfliehen des Lebens schönste Stunden, flieht vorüber wie im Tanz. Bald entflieht des Lebens bunte Szene und der Vorhang rollt herab. Aus ist unser Spiel, des Freundes Tränen fließet schon auf unser Grab. Bald vielleicht mir weht wie Westwind leise eine stille Ahnung zu, schließ ich dieses Lebens Pilgerreise, fliege in das Land der Ruhe. Werd ihr dann an meinem Grabe weinen, trauern meine Asche sehen, dann, o Freunde, will ich euch erscheinen und wie Himmel auf euch hin. auf mein Grab und mit deinem seelenvollen Blicke siehst dann sanft auf mich herab, sieh dann sanft auf mich herab. Weih mir eine Träne und ach, schäme dich nur nicht, sie mir zu wein, oh, sie fiel in meinem Diademe, dann die schönste Perle sein, oh, sie fiel in meinem Diademe, dann die schönste Perle sein, sie wird die schönste Perle sein, die schönste Perle sein.
And that was Abendempfindung an Laura, one of my favorite art songs that Mozart wrote. And thank you, Katori, thank you everyone for coming in today and enjoying this little bit of beachside Mozart.